He yanked my car door open so hard the whole vehicle shook. Out. Now! I was 17 years old, driving home from my AP Physics study group. I'd done everything by the book, signaled, pulled into a well-lit gas station. Hands on the wheel at 10 and 2. But Officer Brennan's face was already twisted with contempt before he even reached my window. "What's the problem, officer?" I asked, my voice steady. He didn't answer. Just stared at me like I was something he'd scraped off his shoe. "Step out of the vehicle." I unbuckled my seatbelt, moving slowly, deliberately. My father's training echoed in my head. Breathe, observe, comply, document. What? Officer Brennan didn't know. What he couldn't possibly understand was that the teenage girl he was trying to intimidate had been trained by one of the most strategic minds in the U.S. military, and he had just activated a protocol he couldn't possibly contain. The gas station lights were blinding. I stood beside my car, the cool night air doing little to calm the adrenaline coursing through me. Officer Reyes, the younger one, found my military-dependent ID in my wallet. "Well, look at this. Daddy's in the Army? Cute," Brennan smirked. "Let's see what else Daddy's little girl is hiding." He started tearing my car apart. My textbooks, my gym bag, my perfectly organized notes, everything hit the pavement. Then, the discovery. Brennan held up a small, clear bag of weed. "Well, well, what do we have here?" My blood ran cold. I'd never seen it before in my life. It was a plant. A sloppy, obvious frame-up. "I've never seen that," I said, my voice clear and firm. "Sure you haven't," Brennan sneered. This was the moment, the line we'd trained for. As Brennan turned to gloat to his partner, I pressed the side of my watch 3 times in quick succession. A tiny, silent vibration confirmed the signal was sent. Then I spoke, my voice projecting with a clarity that made both officers turn. "My name is Chloe Patterson. My military ID number is 47281. I am being detained under false pretenses at the Shell station on Route 7. Brennan laughed, a harsh, ugly sound. He strode over and ripped the watch from my wrist. "Calling Daddy won't help you, Princess. He's not here." He thought he had taken my lifeline. He had no idea he'd just sent a distress signal directly to the United States Special Operations Command. In the interrogation room, the air was stale and thick with lies. I sat perfectly still, my hands folded on the cold metal table. I'd said my one sentence, "I invoke my right to remain silent," and then I'd become a statue. Officer Brennan leaned over me, his face inches from mine. "Who do you think you are? Your little watch? Your army dad? None of that matters here. You're in my world now." I didn't flinch. I just looked at a point on the wall behind him, my breathing even. My father taught me that silence is a weapon. It makes weak men nervous. It makes bullies reveal themselves, and Brennan was revealing everything. Meanwhile, miles away in a secure facility at Fort Bragg, a dedicated phone line lit up. The watch's signal had been received. Protocol 7 Alpha was initiated. Military dependent in legal jeopardy. The duty officer located my father, Commander David Patterson, during a nighttime urban warfare exercise. They patched the call through to his helmet comm. I can only imagine the scene. The strobing lights of the training exercise, the sound of simulated gunfire, and then a voice in his ear. "Sir, we have a 7 Alpha. Chloe. Location, County Precinct 12. Apparent false evidence plant during traffic stop." There was no yelling, no panic. My father's response was crisp, clean, and lethal in its efficiency. "Initiate legal protocol. I want the personnel files for Officers Brennan and Reyes and the complaint history for Precinct 12 on my device in 10 minutes. And patch the live body cam and dash cam feeds to my tablet. Now." Back in the evidence room, my watch, sitting in a plastic bag, began emitting a low-frequency pulse. It was a non-destructive EMP designed for one purpose: to temporarily disrupt local communications. The precinct's Wi-Fi flickered and died. Cell signals dropped. For a few critical minutes, they were cut off from the outside world. Isolated. My father didn't arrive with a squad of screaming soldiers. He walked into the precinct, flanked by a JAG Corps lieutenant colonel and a senior official from the Department of Homeland Security. He was still in his combat fatigues, his face smeared with camo paint. He looked less like a father and more like a force of nature. The desk sergeant stared, his mouth slightly agape. "I'm Commander David Patterson. I'm here to observe the processing of my daughter, Chloe Patterson." The police captain, a man named Harris, came bustling out of his office. "What is the meaning of this? You can't just barge in here." My father cut him off, his voice a low, calm baritone that silenced the entire room. "I'm not barging. I'm observing, and I'm requesting to review the body cam footage and evidence log from my daughter's arrest in accordance with DOD Directive 1322-36, Captain Harris spluttered. "That's not the directive," the JAG officer interjected smoothly. "Guarantees military command access during incidents involving dependents where jurisdictional integrity is in question. And given the signal disruption your precinct is experiencing, I'd say integrity is very much in question." They were herded into a conference room. My father took a seat, his tablet already synced with the feed SOCOM had provided. He didn't look at the officers. He looked at the data. "Officer Brennan," my father began, his eyes never leaving the screen. "Your report states you observed the contraband in the back seat at 2147. "That's right," Brennan said, his confidence returning. My father tapped his tablet. The dashcam footage from Brennan's own car played on the large screen. It showed Brennan still walking toward my vehicle at 2147. "The timestamp on your dashcam shows you were still 10 feet from the vehicle at that time. How exactly did you observe it?" Brennan's face went pale. I must have misremembered the time." "Misremembered," my father repeated, the word hanging in the air. He advanced the footage frame by frame. "And here at 2149, you can be seen reaching into your own pocket before leaning into the vehicle." The room was dead silent. The JAG lawyer leaned toward Captain Harris and spoke softly, but his words carried. "We've identified 17 prior complaints with nearly identical anomalies involving these two officers. The U.S. Attorney is preparing federal civil rights indictments. They'll be filed at dawn." Captain Harris finally broke. "Commander, surely we can handle this internally. There's no need for—" My father stood up. For the first time, he looked directly at the captain, and his gaze was like ice. "You misunderstand, Captain. I'm not here as a furious father. I am here as a senior officer in the United States Armed Forces, witnessing a corruption of the very principles of justice I have sworn to defend. You are not dealing with an emotional parent. You are dealing with a systemic failure, and I am a systemic solution." He turned to the JAG officer. "Bring her out." When I walked into the room, I saw the whole scene. The terrified officers, the defeated captain, my father standing with unshakable authority. I walked straight to him, my back ramrod straight. "I followed the protocol, sir," I said, my voice clear in the quiet room. A flicker of immense pride crossed his face, so fast only I would see it. "You performed perfectly, soldier." He then turned and played the final piece. The audio from Brennan's body cam, a segment they had tried to delete. His voice, dripping with malice, filled the room. "These military brats think they're special because of their daddies. Let's teach this one a lesson about real authority." There was nothing left to say. 1 month later, I sat before a federal oversight committee, not as a victim, but as a witness. My testimony was calm, factual, and devastating. Officers Brennan and Reyes were convicted. But the real victory was the complete overhaul of the precinct's procedures and training. The day after the hearing, my father found me in the garage, tinkering with my car. He tossed me a small box. I opened it. Inside was a new watch, sleeker and more advanced. "Upgraded protocol," he said, a small smile playing on his lips. "You ready for the next level?" I slipped it onto my wrist, feeling its cool, confident weight. I looked at my father, the most feared Delta Force commander, and I gave him the same small smile back. "I was born ready, sir." He hadn't fought my battle for me. He had equipped me to win it. And in that moment, I understood the true nature of power. It isn't about making noise. It's about being the calm, unshakable truth in a room full of lies. If you enjoyed this, please hit the subscribe button to join us.